This morning. I see the clock's rolled over to 9 o'clock. And here shortly, we will be completely underway. If you have any devices on, whatever, please turn those things off so they won't be disruptive. The electronic devices is what I'm addressing. And it's good to have each of you here this morning. Looks like each time the masks become fewer in number, so I think that's a good thing. But anyway, if you would, please let's stand, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Hadley if she would do our invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you that you've given us another beautiful day to come together to take care of the business of the county. As always, dear Lord, we just ask that you guide our thoughts, our actions, our words, that we'll do those things that are in the best interest of all of us who live here, and of course be pleasing to you. We thank you for those who are present today in person and those who are online taking part in our meeting. We ask that you give everyone safe travels as they return to their homes, and we pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. If you would, our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, as we adopt our agenda, I've got some changes I've been requested to make, and they're pretty much as follows. Under new business, we have number 1, recognizing Allison Stevens, and number 2, the NFP has a presentation for us. Let's put those right up under where public hearing would normally be, items 1 and 2. In addition, I have a item number 9, Warm Springs is requesting their CDBG support, and we will take care of that at that time. And Commissioner Hines is asked to make a number 10 item for tax commissioner comments, as well as under number 5, as we discuss the paving criteria for dirt roads to include Beulah Evans. Is there any questions about that? Do I hear a motion and we adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, Ms. Beverly. You've got the minutes there for March the 23rd, the work session, March 23rd regular meeting, and our March 29th special call meeting. And I assume you've had an opportunity to look over each one of those. I think there've been some minor changes, spelling and what have you, but is there any changes that any commissioners have?
Hearing none, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? So passes unanimous. Now, it's that time for municipal comments, and I'm not seeing, well, I can't see very well at all at that board's. Any, is that Mayor Glover I see waving at me? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Shirley.
I had to try to find out how to unmute myself. Just saying hello. Good to see all of y'all in the meeting. Wished I was there. If anybody's there that needs to be on a cleanup team for Saturday, I'm taking volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Starling. Is there any others out there? I can't see. Okay. We'll move on. Is there any constitutional officers with us? I don't believe we have any, do we? So we'll move on over. And of course, we haven't been doing department head comments. We'll continue that this morning.
I'm actually here.
Ms. Jenkins is on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Under constitutional officers, I didn't see you.
Well, I just wanted to clarify. I heard you mention there was something on the, I think you said, was it item 10 related to my office on the agenda?
Can y'all turn it up some?
We can't hear you real well, Miss Catherine.
Okay, well, I'll speak louder, but the
Okay,
audio,
good.
That's it.
you can hear me now?
I
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay. I heard something earlier that you said in this meeting about the item 10 on the agenda relating to my office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the latest agenda I have doesn't have that on there, so can I ask what this is about?
Ms. Hines added it.
To the board and to to Commissioner Jenkins, I've asked to, it's something I want to share with the board. And so I asked for it to be put on. So it's just something I want to discuss and bring out.
Okay,
that's what it
will
is.
I be able to speak on that issue since I didn't have an opportunity to see what it was about beforehand?
During the time of comments, you're more than welcome to speak on it from my understanding, but it's just something that I personally want to bring to the board's attention.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's just one thing I saw. I know getting items on the agenda and the time frame has been kind of a sticky point.
Ms. Jenkins, there are times when the board can add things onto the agenda other than the time when it gets initially scheduled. And something came to my attention that I just didn't have time to get it to Beverly in time. And so I want to discuss it at this time.
Okay, well, I just like to be able to speak on it since it relates to my
I
office.
understand, but there are times when we just don't have that information. So whatever I discuss, it will, if you want to make comments or anybody else want to make comments afterwards, they're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So just to give the board an update on what's going on in our office, we have gotten our Dropbox installed. So I appreciate the building and maintenance for getting that done. It looks great. We've already had people drop off things, so I think it's going to work out great for our office. One issue I was going to bring up was with the self-help, or it's called a few things, but the help window in the front of the office is something that I would like to get moving on as fast as we can. As you're all aware, we're limited by the number of people that can actually come in the office. And so, it might look like we actually have a line outside when there's only 3 other people in the building. But I just wanted to see if there's anything that my office can do to get this thing going. We already had, Mr. Gay was out at our office and I showed him the window that I think would work great. But I just wanted to see, what we need to do to get that thing moving.
We've already had a contractor go down and take a look and kind of assess that.
Okay.
We should be getting a report back on that very soon.
Mr. Gay, you said you're going to get a report back on that soon. Is that right?
What we're going to do, Ms. Jenkins, we had someone come down and look at the entire building because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I know he's come down and met with some of the people there, and he was going to come and meet with you, but I have not heard back from him on that. So I'll try to give him a call again. But we're talking about what we do with the windows and some of the doors and other stuff that's there.
Right.
I guess the question would be, you and I looked at the window that you wanted to install, I guess last week or so. Anyway, you've got a door here and it's right around to the side, if I'm correct. And I want to look at the cost of it. We also got to create some way to have everyone get there because there's I think it's just grassy and there's a drop off over to the left side that drops down to the city property. So, but I'll have the contractor and we'll take a look at that and put that into his report as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, just keep me informed on that. Like I said, it's, if we have clerks now and if we can, we're limited by what we can have in the office, but if we can serve people by an outside window, that will allow us to serve more. So we have a decreased waiting time.
I know that later today we're going to talk about the COVID restrictions and the governor has relaxed a lot of those. And I'm not sure, I mean, personally, if I came, I'm not sure that there's a door here, a window over here on the side. I'm not sure why I can go to the window, but we'll take a look at that and see, but we really want to talk a little bit later about the relaxation. The governor's removed a lot of the restrictions that have kept our offices less accessible, and we're working on trying to have that accessibility come back. So that may play into it as well. So, but I do know where you had requested the window to be, and I've not gotten any pricing on it, but we can take a look at it. We'd also have to do some work with the grounds there as well.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, you brought up a good point with COVID, so I was gonna ask about that as well. With our budgets, are we gonna be reimbursed for the time that people have been out for COVID? As you know, I was out for almost 2 weeks. We've had other people out. Before I took office in February, the office was also closed for COVID. So I just wanted to find out if there's a policy or a procedure for my office getting reimbursed for that through the CARES Act money.
I'll check with HR and finance on how we did it previously with the last series of COVID, and we'll treat your office just like we treated everyone else. Okay, we'll be fair, just like we've been with everybody else. Of course, you're constitutional officer, so your time's covered anyway, but we'll see how we did everybody else. We'll be there the same way, okay?
It is hard to hear you. I don't know if there's a microphone that you could have. Sometimes it cuts out or whatever.
I can barely hear you. What I was saying was that while we look back and talk with HR and finance about how we handle the COVID absentees that we had last year, and we will treat your office and do the same way that we did those offices. Okay, and I don't know whether we charged it as sick or we covered it some other way, but again, we'll be sure that your office is handled the same way we've handled everybody else. Okay.
So I just want to make sure it's handled fairly. I'm not sure how other offices were, but
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's 2 weeks, everybody's covered. After that, you have to use your sick time. Now, that may be changed, but I think that was across the board. 2 weeks, everybody's covered for once, and then after that, you have to pull from your sick time.
well, what my question is in relation to the budget is reimbursement for that through the CARES Act.
No, I'm not sure about that. How
Yeah.
about reimbursement? Can we turn the air off maybe? I mean, I don't know if it's difficult to hear. I don't know if we can do anything with the volume over there.
You talking about the CARES Act?
You're talking about reimbursement, if they'll be reambused for that, the county.
The county?
Deputy Bill.
We got some dollars coming in, Bill. I don't think we figured out exactly.
We got all the CARES Act money
We're gonna get. Okay, so there's no more that's coming in. Yeah. But we will, like I say, we'll look back, and I think Ms. Beth's right. We'll look back at the policy and what we followed, and we'll implement that with you as well, okay?
If my numbers are correct, I think it's, have you received, I think it was 4.7 million for CARES Act money?
That's not CARES Act, that's the American Recovery Act.
Oh, okay, but it's for COVID, I believe, is that correct?
But we're still looking on how that dollars can be spent and getting some guidelines from that. So we've not made any determination on expenditure of any of that yet.
Okay, all right. And then the last thing I have is just IT support. We've already, Mr. Gay and Skip, I know you're there. We've talked about this, and I just want to clarify that if I can't use the county IT, and it sounds like with upgrading to a new platform, that's going to be above the scope of what the county can do. Will I be able to get more funds to cover the cost of that?
What you need to do is to make a request for additional funds and a budget adjustment, and it will need to come back before the board. There's some things that you guys are using and doing that's kind of beyond our ability to be able to, to keep it rolling and servicing it for you. So, I mean, we'll work with you on that, but we need to know what kind of dollars we're looking like, and we'll also need to know time frame where we can bring it back before the board. The board
Okay.
has another, budget adjustment on the agenda today based upon some things that had happened and are happening And when I talked to that elected official, it was like, hey, we'll put it on there, we'll make a budget adjustment, and we'll go forward. So what I would ask that you do is to make a request for that, a budget adjustment. Let us know how much you would like and, the lines and the reason for it. And we'll put it on the agenda and have the board consider that, take a look at it.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. I'll see about getting that. Okay, well, that's all I have. Do I have any questions from any of you?
Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move along. Thank you, Ms. Catherine. We have eliminated the department head comments. There are no public hearings. And according to the shift that we did this morning on our agenda, this next item will be to recognize Allison Stevens for completing the Certified County Clerk Program through the University of Georgia, Carl Vinson Institute of Government. So at this time, let's move right on into that.
Just to say a couple things, Allison has worked very hard on this. She's a very important part of our office. We appreciate her more than she knows. She has quite a busy life in addition to work here. She has a family with 2 daughters that are growing up. I was going to say young children, but they're not young children anymore. And in addition to that, she has been taking classes and going back to college. And you're pretty close to having a associate degree, and she's moving forward with the others. So we're very, very proud of Allison. I'm proud that of the personal growth and development she has made since she's been here. I think she's learned a lot, and she's eager for knowledge, and we really appreciate it. And it's been wonderful working with you. Congratulations on this.
Congratulations.
Very good.
I think she has some special visitors here today too.
She does. Well, I was going to ask her, do you have any comments for us that you would like to say before we present
I
this?
just want to thank all the board, but especially Theron and Beverly, because they have taught me a lot. They have been very patient with me. They've allowed me to grow, and I just want to thank them so
We
much.
appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
Well, we will go ahead and gather around if y'all would like to and make this presentation. Parents, come on forward. Or would y'all like?
You want to come over here and do this, and then we'll get pictures too? Would it be okay?
Yeah, we can do
Over here by
that.
the flag?
Okay. All right. Ms. Allison, as we present this to you, we know the hard work that's gone into it. We are so appreciative of you and the service you've rendered here. I don't know that this expresses all of that in so many words, but we're just thankful to have you. Give this to you. Oh, that's right.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to just, yeah, just all over, Commissioners, we'll just get a picture with just y'all. Oh, yeah. Right in front of us.
Do one of these two over there. Hold on one second.
Turn your phone sideways, Theron.
Congratulations, Al.
Congratulations, Allison.
Congratulations, Allison.
Yes, ma'am.
Good to hear your voice, Brent.
What's that?
This has got to be.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, we have a presentation, a health insurance brief from NFP. Would they like to come up with, are they out? Yeah, come on up forward. Yeah. I couldn't see you there for a second.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Tammy Starsky. I am Senior Vice President with NFP, formerly Shaw Hankins. So we are the benefits consultant for Meriwether County. And I'm here this morning to talk to you about your upcoming benefits renewals that will be effective July 1st of this year. So in the presentation today, first I'm going to talk about the medical claims on the plan and how that impacts our overall renewal and the quotes that we get back from the market. I'm doing something wrong here. So the first slide shows you a year-over-year comparison going back to plan year 2015 to our current plan year 2020, which started July 1st of 2020, where you can see the comparisons here of how the medical and the prescription drug claims have run, because our experience on the plan with claims paid are what drive our overall premiums and the cost for the health insurance. So you'll see that the yellow line on top was our previous plan year. So that was the plan year that started July 1st, 2019. And then the purple line is where we are so far for the current plan year. And this is claims through November. So there is a lag in the claims reporting that Cigna, the insurance carrier, provides us. But you can see 2019, we had a difficult year. We had some very high cost claims. We saw that impact our renewal last year with Cigna coming in at a 30% increase. So this year for for the current plan year, we're trending a bit better. We're seeing some improvements, but still well over where we had been in previous years. So just to kind of give you a point of comparison, in the last plan year, 2019 plan year, our claims averaged $929 per employee per month, just to kind of average it out. This plan year, we're averaging $908 per employee per month. And to put that into perspective, for 2017, we averaged around $500 per employee per month. So 500 to 600 is typically our average. And at this point, we're at a little over 900. And so what that means on the next slide, you'll see is it drives our loss ratio. So when the carriers look at premium paid in versus claims they're paying out, they come with a loss ratio. So our loss ratio on the plan for the last 12 months is 138%, which means that Cigna's paying out 38% more in claims than we're paying in premium to fund the plan. A target loss ratio on a health plan is probably around 75 to 80%. That means that the carrier is able to cover their overhead, their administrative costs, and still be profitable in the plan that they're operating for you all. So at 138%, we're well above a target loss ratio. Last renewal, we were at 159%. So again, some improvement, but still well above where we would hope to be in our overall claims experience. And again, that really ties back to some very large catastrophic claims that we've seen on the plan. In the last 12 months, we've had 15 high-cost claimants that have had medical or prescription drug claims over $25,000 in the 12-month period. Our top claim had $174,000. Our number 2 claim, $114,000, and then our number 3 claim, $77,000. So these 15 members accounted for almost $900,000 in our claims expense for the year. And that's not abnormal, but for a plan to be impacted 2 years in a row, it's been a very difficult time. COVID has not helped that. We've seen some expense in the impact of COVID and claims there. We don't have a lot of information around diagnosis, but some of these could likely be COVID related, just seeing the information that we have available. The good news as we move forward into the plan is that many of these are not continuing claims. So out of our top 3 claims, 2 of them are no longer continuing on the plan. And so we have had that communication with Cigna, with the market, that we expect to see experience improve over the next year as we move into our renewal. So on the next slide, we've got the information on, we conducted a full marketing analysis. So when we go to market for your health insurance, the insurance carriers want to see who's enrolled on the plan, the demographics, and then they're also going to look at the claims experience. So typically they're looking at the last 24 months of experience so that they understand what is the risk of the plan and they're able to underwrite that appropriately. So with our full marketing analysis, you'll see that Aetna declined to quote. They were uncompetitive compared to the renewal with Cigna. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield declined to quote. Humana provided a quote, but was 56% above our current cost. And then United Healthcare provided competitive options that we're going to take a look at today. And then we do have the Cigna renewal. So on the next slide, you'll see the Cigna renewal. So it'll be slide 4. There we go. One more. Okay, so this shows our current plan design with Cigna. So our copays for office visits, for prescriptions, our deductible for more inpatient, outpatient services, as well as the 20% coinsurance on the plan. So this plan, Cigna's quoting it to stay the same benefits for July 1st, 2021. Initial renewal was a 29% increase, which equates to about $355,000 in annual premium. We were able to negotiate that so far with Cigna down to 24.5%, which is about a $300,000 increase. So a savings of $55,000 over our current, original renewal from Cigna. And then the most competitive option from the market was United Healthcare on the next page. And so here we're showing 2 options from United Healthcare. And both of these are a little bit different from the plan design that you have now. Because first, there's no primary care physician office copay. A member would pay nothing when they go to see their primary care physician. So that means if I'm going to my PCP, I'm taking my children to the pediatrician, then there's no cost for those office visits. Well, right now, the copay for that on the Cigna plan is $30. So that's an improved benefit for members. The specialist office copay does increase a bit from $60 currently to $75. So some changes there in the copays, but definitely an advantage of having no copay when you go to see your primary care physician. The deductible increases slightly on these plan options. And as I talk through the plans, you'll see highlighted in yellow means that the benefit is more out-of-pocket expense for member. Green means it's a better benefit than what they have now. And really the difference between these 2 plans is in the prescription drugs. So I'll highlight the difference there. But on both of these plan options, the deductible is $6,000 for an individual, $12,000 for a family. So right now, your deductibles are $5,500 for an individual, $11,000 for a family. So a slight increase there. And then another advantage of these plans is that it's 100% covered after the deductible. So there's no coinsurance. Right now you have an 80-20 split after the deductible. So that means a member pays 20% of the cost after they meet the deductible. So that typically is going to apply to inpatient, outpatient hospital services, and then emergency room, that you pay 20% of the total cost. And then the out-of-pocket maximum is a member's maximum exposure for the year. So that includes all copays, the deductible, and then any coinsurance on the current plan. Right now, your out-of-pocket maximum is $7,900 for an individual, $15,800 for a family. And these plans with United Healthcare would be $8,150 for an individual, $16,300 for a family. So again, slight increase there. We're seeing most plans increase that with ACA regulations. Every year ACA will come out with kind of the new limitations on out-of-pocket maximums because it is a true liability or maximum exposure. And so the plans keep pace with that. Then next, for inpatient and outpatient hospital care, you'll see that there's a copay for inpatient care of $500 after the deductible. That's an improvement from your current plan because right now they're paying 20% after the deductible. So typically inpatient care of $500 is going to be much less than a 20% of the total. And then outpatient care, they're paying $250 copay after deductible. Right now, again, it's 20% of the total cost. Urgent care copay reduces from $60 to $50, so and again, improvement there. And then we get into prescription drugs. And so this is where we see the difference between these two United Healthcare plans, where the first plan there, that's the lower cost plan, and it takes us to an overall 9.3% increase over our current cost. That plan does exclude CVS from the pharmacy network. So that's a bit more disruptive than we typically have seen in the plan options we've offered, but it does offer some cost savings. So that means that we'll have other pharmacies like Walgreens are in the network, but CVS would be the one that's excluded. It also has a prescription drug deductible. So that means that for any drugs other than tier 1 or generic medications, a member would have to meet that deductible or pay the full cost of the drug until they hit that deductible, and then copays would apply for the year. So that deductible is $150 for an individual or maximum $300 for a family. But after that, or before that, even for tier 1 drugs, there's no cost. So for your generic medications, there's no copay. Right now, the copay on those tier 1 drugs is $20 on the Cigna plan. So again, an improvement and cost savings for members on the plan. Tier 2 would be $50 after that $150 deductible. That tier 2 is currently $50 on your Cigna plan. Tier 3 is $75 after the deductible. Right now, tier 3 is $90. And then tier 4 is $150 after the deductible. And currently tier 4 is 30% of the cost up to $400 maximum. Tier 4 medications are typically those specialty drugs that cost thousands of dollars for each fill. So they're our most high cost medications that fall into tier 4. So that plan brings us overall to 9.3% increase, $114,000 in annual premium. So about $185,000 less than our Cigna option for renewal. The other option with United Healthcare, again, same plan design except for the prescription drugs that here they are covering CVS in the network, and there's no prescription drug deductible, meaning that copays immediately apply. We still have no copay for tier 1 medications. So generics are going to be available at no cost to the member for every fill. And that plan option is about $36,000 more than the more restricted prescription drug option with United Healthcare. Takes us to an overall 12.3% increase or $150,000 overall in premium. So still $149,000 less than the Cigna renewal. Another piece that comes with the United Healthcare plans is something they call Motion. And so that's on the next slide. This will highlight the Motion program, which is really a program that incentivizes physical activity. And so employees and spouses enrolled on the plan can earn deductible credits that go into an account that they can use to offset their deductible expenses. So there's 3 ways to earn credits within this account. Is one in measuring their step frequency of getting 300 steps within 5 minutes 6 times a day. So if a member does that on any day that they're on the plan, they get $1.50 deposited into their account. The next is intensity in their steps. So 3,000 steps in 30 minutes during the day, then they get $1.25. And then tenacity is getting 10,000 or more steps total for the day is another $1.25. So any employee or spouse that's enrolled on the plan has the potential to earn $4 a day into this account that they can use for their deductible expenses. And that's up to $1,460 a year if they're participating every day and meeting each of these metrics. And then if they have money left, so maybe they did not incur deductible expenses during the year, and I'm just going for my routine checkups, maybe I go see my PCP and fill my medications, I haven't used any money in my account, then you can carry over $500 if you have single coverage, or $1,000 if your spouse is on the plan that you could use into the next year. So they would not lose those funds. So really just another incentive for physical activity, of well-being, and allowing members to offset some of the out-of-pocket expense that they may have on the plan. So with United Healthcare, we are doing some additional analysis before we finalize recommendation for you all, but wanted to provide you an overview of where we are today. The additional analysis that we're reviewing is to drill down into their medical provider network. to ensure that there's not significant disruption in the providers being covered. And so we do have reporting on the top providers that are utilized now, so physicians, hospitals, labs, and we will compare that to United Healthcare to make a thorough analysis of the network availability. Are there any questions on the medical plan options?
So really, let me ask you, I do have a question. So really right now, the least expensive would be this United Healthcare with a fusion option, right? With motion, is that gonna be the best bet?
Yeah, so that one that's at a little over 9%, that's the least expensive. That's the one that excludes CVS. And so what we got back from United Healthcare yesterday was the new option that includes CVS. And so that's a 12.3% increase to include CVS. So, you know, less disruption on the pharmacy. It also has no prescription drug deductible, which we have had a prescription drug deductible on the plan in the past. You know, that is disruptive to members when they go fill medications and they've got to pay the full cost and meet that deductible before their copays apply.
And the 12% you're talking about would eliminate that.
It eliminates the prescription drug deductible and includes CVS.
Between the two is about $34,000 a year.
Correct.
A year.
Yep.
And really also to the prescription deductible is $150 if it's on the individual and $300 for family, right?
Maximum 300
Okay.
for a family, yeah, so it caps out a family. And the prescription drug deductible does not apply to tier 1. So if someone's just filling tier 1 medications, they would have no copay and no deductible.
When do we need an answer on all this, Tammy?
I think we're looking for an answer on the 27th.
Okay, so they got some time to think about it, to look at this, so you don't have to vote today if you wanted to, and can talk about it some more, and we can bring it back and vote at the next meeting.
Okay.
But we will have to have a decision.
Right, by
at
the next meeting.
At the next meeting. Okay.
Will y'all still be negotiating, or is this already done?
Well, you know, I think we'll go back to Cigna again. I
Right.
think United Healthcare is where they're going to end up at the most competitive. But the piece that we wanted to follow up with you all on was the network analysis, because we did get back those top providers late yesterday, so that we've got that for you to review.
Do you actually know yet if Wellstar and Piedmont are gonna be, you know, the main hospitals,
They-
you know that they're definitely gonna be
Yeah.
network?
Yes, they are. We did not see any problems with the hospitals. They're just potentially some individual positions that we wanted to confirm.
I have a question. And getting back to that, because, you know, in this area, a lot of people have very local doctors. So in the event that that's not going to be the case, then what does that do? Because, you know, transportation is one of the biggest challenges for people getting to see a doctor. And if the doctors are not in this network, then how does that, you know, what would you all look at in reference to the other providers? I think you mentioned that you've already looked at the ones that are currently providing in the network. So I guess my concern is if they're not going to be part of the network, then how do we compensate that? Because even if you find a doctor and they're not in a 30, 50-mile radius, transportation is probably one of the biggest challenges for a lot of people.
Right, and so we did evaluate a geo-access based off of a radius of available doctors, and so that was sufficient. What we wanted to look at was specifically are the doctors that are being utilized now, so that we're not disrupting members of a relationship that they have with their physician. So that's what we're working on now, is that direct, you know, specific physicians that are being utilized on the plan by your members to ensure that they're on the United Healthcare network.
Will we have more of a breakdown before the next meeting on that, so we can
Yes.
look at, okay?
Yeah, I expect to have that early next week.
I have a question. I'm looking at the page where it talks about the dental,
Yes.
and I know that's probably not the majority of our claims, but when I look at that, if I'm reading it right, any of them that are within our county and next county would not be in that, would not accept it, not in network.
Right, so with the dental, that's fairly common, and that's a reason that we pushed the dental plan to 95th UCR a few years ago. And what that means is that on a dental plan, you can go in or out of network. The benefits are exactly the same. What differs is the reimbursement that that provider gets for your service. And if they charge more than what's usual, customary, and reasonable for 95% of other providers, then that's when a patient can be balance billed. So say I go in for an annual cleaning and 95% of providers charge $100 or less for a cleaning. But my physician, my dentist is out of network and they charge $125. So they're charging more than 95% of other dentists. Then the plan would pay them the $100, which is what's usual, customary, and reasonable. They charge $125, so I'm going to be balanced billed at $25.
So you can still go to these, because like I said.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, dental works very different from medical, that there's not a big takeaway when you go out of network.
Okay.
And most dentists, when you explain, hey, look, you're charging more than 95% of other dentists in our area, they'll typically work with patients on that.
Thank you.
And with that, the dental plan is on page 7, and we are showing that United Healthcare dental plan really because of the discounting that they will give us on the medical rates if we package their dental, which is 2% off of the medical rates. And that's equal to about $27,000 if we package with the dental. So you'll see that here, we did that network comparison on it. So overall, they're about $18,000 more. But there is advantage to package with the medical. The other advantage is that it's one ID card. We already have the vision coverage with United Healthcare. And so if you package the dental, then members have one ID card for their medical, dental, vision. And then the last slide there is just the other ancillary coverages. The vision plan, there's no change with United Healthcare, so no change to benefits, network, or rate. The life insurance with Lincoln Financial, also no change, and the benefits or the premium there. Short-term and long-term disability benefits with Lincoln Financial, no change on those as well. So really up for consideration is the medical and the dental and the potential package there with United Healthcare.
I assume that ends your presentation. I'm not hearing any other questions coming
What
out.
about the HRA plan? Are we just gonna stay with task, or are we gonna look?
No, I think the HRA, so the reimbursement of the deductible by the county for members on the plan that meet a certain threshold is currently administered by a vendor called Task. There have been some service challenges with Task. They went through a technology upgrade late in the year that caused some confusion, lack of communication on the vendor's part. So we are recommending a change to that vendor. We do, NFP covers the cost of that, so there's no cost difference for the county and the administration, but we're proposing MedCom for improved service to your members on the plan.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Beverly?
I can't think of anything else. Valerie? Can you think of anything?
Okay.
Mr. Bill? Anything?
With that being said, we thank you for that presentation, and it sounds like, if I heard this right, we'll be making a decision next meeting. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
See you, James.
At this time, Mr. Theron, we're going to move to item number 3, which is our memorandum of understanding.
Mr.
Gotta go back to
Mr. Vice Chairman, do we want to go back to unfinished business?
Oh, that's right. You're certainly right. I've forgotten that. Let's go back to unfinished business and get this punched out. Update and discussion for County Line Road project. Go ahead, Mr. Gay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we're sort of sitting in the water right now. We're just sitting dead in the water. I need to see the direction that the board would like to go. As you know, we got a loan and a grant for that project, but that project is going to be probably another $750,000, $800,000 over and above that cost. And to move forward, we're going to need to spend some engineering money. And I would imagine, since we're going to be dealing with the Corps, we may be looking at $75,000 plus to do that. So I didn't want to spend those dollars until we had a commitment. And I know we said we would look at additional dollars. But as of today, there's no real guarantee on those dollars. So, my question is, does the board want us to go ahead prepare those plans, engage the engineer, with the understanding that, you know, if we move forward with this, we're gonna be looking at a substantial sum of money to make.
A substantial sum, you're saying we're at least $800,000 apart
I think so.
in addition to what we have now.
Right. Which part of that you would have to pay back too, because part of it's a loan. So, it's just it's a huge project because it not only entails the bridge replacement, but it also, has to take into account some grading that's needed. It has to take into account the, clearing and, the, paving of the roadway to complete it. And, I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and I wish it was just as simple as replacing the bridge, but, unfortunately, it's not. And so, like I say, I didn't want to move forward with spending that kind of money on engineering until you guys, gave me your blessing that that this is a project that you really want to spend those dollars on. That probably is, Bill, that's probably a year's worth of these lots.
Yes. There is a possibility that we could use the American Recovery Act funds for that, but we just don't know that.
We don't know that yet.
I would like to say, this is a project that has to get done at some point in time, and the the more expensive it's gonna come. Unfortunately, I personally think it should have been done when the industrial park was built, but that's not the case. But it has to at some point in time be done because it's gonna deteriorate and get worse, and that's cost. There is some money coming through the American Rescue Plan. And there's two sets of funding. I attended a Zoom meeting from the National Association of County Commissioners, breaking down some of that. So there's two sets of funds. So they haven't given a definite on that yet. I think we should see what those options are before we finally make a decision.
Okay.
Because if there's federal dollars that's going to be available for infrastructure, I would like to see some of that be put, because at some point in time, that road has to be corrected. There's no ifs and buts about it. The cost is going to go more and more each and every year. So if there is some additional funding coming through just strictly infrastructure, and there's two phases of that, I would like for us to at least find out what that is before we make a final decision.
Sure.
And then the second thing is the funds that we were awarded through this grant. What are the stipulations if we back out of it? Because once again, everything that you get on the state and federal level is very competitive. We wrote a good grant and we came in being accepted for that. I would hate for us to be awarded something and then we step out. And then what does that position us later on when we go to that agency at a later date to get those fundings, when that funding could have went to someone else? So we need to go to GDOT or other agency to see, or partner. I don't know what that looks like, but before we just scrap it all together, I think we need to look at all the other possible entities. Because the other thing too, as that industrial park grows and as more industry comes into that industrial park, having an asset and the traffic flow is crucial. And the second thing right now is, and you've heard me mention this several times at the meeting, there's a lot of traffic on Interstate 85 southbound from Noonan to LaGrange. And every week there is an accident and traffic is being diverted on 54. And a lot of people come, GPS have them come through the industrial park, have them coming down Forest Road instead of coming all the way down 54. And as this area continues to grow and the traffic grows, we've got to have more outlets where people can go through. And that is going to be crucial. So my personal is to let's see what the American Rescue Plan has before we totally scrap this project. And let's also reach back out to GDOT. I know the cost of the core and all that is very unexpected. But then I also know if we push it back and it's 5 years later, it's going to cost even more too.
And I just wanted you guys to know that right now it's just kind of sitting there, and we're just treading water with it. I didn't want which I think we're just holding it up.
I understand.
But I don't want to spend 75 if we're not gonna go forward, but I think we've got some time.
So does that, if we take this time to see what kind of money we can get, it does not affect this money that we've already, we have access to through the loan or whatever?
If it's a reasonable time, it would not, we did a report back to them here recently, and they're satisfied with that.
So we probably just need to do that again, because this is a project, I agree with Commissioner Hines, that has got to be done at some point. And, if we can take the time to see if we can use some of that funds to help with some of this, I think it would be worth it.
Yeah, we can sure do that, and I'll just keep, reporting that we're in transition. We may have to ask for an extension or something, but,
Like I said, we just don't want to lose
right.
that as well, so.
Okay, what we'll do is I'll just have to continue to have this on the radar, and then we'll take a look at, I'll talk about the GDI, and we'll take a look at what's coming out from grants.
And also, for Bill, any information I get from NACA.
I was gonna ask you,
Right.
who did you get the notification from that city? From ACTG or?
It came from NACA. You have a chance to be a member of it. So I'm
I joined for the county, but I didn't get a notification.
okay. Well, I join personally, so I get their emails all the time. I'll be glad to forward.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll be glad to forward, because they're meeting.
There are about 6 or 7 different listservs with regard to that. Just
Okay.
waiting to get something.
Right, they just had a meeting this last week, and the commissioner over the Treasury Department was the one who hosted that meeting, that Zoom meeting. Right, so I'll be glad to send the information, and hopefully that it was recorded. So if that's the case, then you can go back and listen to the
My
information.
understanding is that they're trying to get some guidelines set up before that first payment goes out in the middle of May.
That's correct. They did talk about the fact that 90% of counties are on a fiscal budget year of June, July. So their goal is to get that initial money out the first 60 days. Now, like Marietta County, we're on a government fiscal budget year, and they want to do that so that any adjustment the counties and cities have to do on their budget, they'll be able to do that in this. And the other thing they talked about was making sure that your accounting, because you're gonna have to have a separate line item when you receive this, because technically it's a grant, and making sure that everyone has the capacity to handle the funds once they come, and make sure that they can do the proper reporting. So they are still working on the guidelines, but I'll be glad to share any information that I get and send it to you. And thank you.
I guess the next question is, what do we do as a housekeeping item here? Do we need to put this somewhere in the future? How do you want to handle this?
What I do is, I just really wanted to kind of just update you guys on it and have the discussion we've had. So what we'll do is, I would say no action, just, we'll bring it back.
Okay.
We'll bring it back. And
So it will not, so it'll come off as unfinished business, and it'll just, so it won't show up on the agenda each and every time. Okay.
Do we need to vote for that? Do we need to vote on that, to take it off and?
Maybe it would be good just to table it until, additional information is received concerning fund adoption.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to table until additional information is received?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passes. Now, I can get back up to number 3. The memorandum of understanding between Evidence-Based Associates LLC in partnership with Cayuga County and Meriwether County, and I believe we have that in our pack. Mr. Gay, would you like to go over that?
Yes. Well, and this is something that I think has been in existence for a while. This is an organization that works on behalf of the government agencies to take a look at the juvenile justice system and services for youth that are involved in at risk. And this will be an agreement between EBA, Cayuga County, and Meriwether. And it notes they will collaborate closely with the county juvenile court officials in meeting the goals of the juvenile justice and city grant program. We've been doing this in the past year, I think, too.
Yes, sir.
And this is a continuation of that program. And we would recommend approval of the MOU.
And this is kind of spearheaded where through the probate office?
You're headed through juvenile court.
Juvenile court, which is, in our case, is under
We actually, it's under Judge Todd.
Judge Todd, okay.
And also this is based on them having the grant. So they don't get the grant, the program doesn't exist, but they've been receiving the funds for this for quite some time.
Right.
Do I hear a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between us and Cali? Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? So passes. Okay, here's the big one. Discussion of COVID restrictions based upon changes under the state guidelines. Do we have the new changes?
Yes, sir. I went last night and kind of looked up some of the changes that the governor has made. And of course, I guess it was about right at a year ago that this first came upon us, and we were, talking about it, and we were following the guidelines, the issues of sheltered in place, no gatherings, etc. Well, looks like Governor Kemp has noted that effective April the 8th, he has removed most of the statewide COVID restrictions. He's eliminated the ban on gathering and the ban on sheltered in place. He's reduced the distance requirement from 6 feet down to less. He is talking about needing to and encourage everybody to continue to wear masks and do some social distancing. But our procedure right now is quite different than the states. And so what I was going to talk to you guys about and recommend is that we look to relaxing our guidelines kind of based upon the state level. And we could have that back for you guys at the next meeting with the details of where we would go. But basically, as I said earlier, remove and eliminate the bans on gatherings. So, there was an issue of, well, you can't gather more than this, but that is removed.
Is there a number associated with it? I was thinking 100 people at one time.
There was a number associated with it at one time, but now that apparently has been released.
And the distance now, social distance has gone from 6 foot to 3 foot?
To 3 foot. And then, it lifts the bans on the sheltered in place, so you don't have to do that. Reduces the distance requirement. It does say that like restaurant owner, workers, et cetera, have to continue to wear a mask and things of that nature. And it encourages everybody to do that. And but it does allow for reduced distances and everything. And what we've had pretty much is controlled access in, and we wanted to look and see how this would impact that. They are still saying to keep up the plexiglass shields and all of these things. So it's an issue with precaution. And one of the other major items here was that he removed the requirement that law enforcement enforce these. So prior to this, if you were gathering in more, law enforcement could address that and say you can't do that or ticket you, or if you had closer than the social distance requirements in a restaurant, they could do that. And we didn't have any of that here in Meriwether, but it was allowed in places. And now his orders have changed. It said that you can't really go out and do that anymore. They can't fine you on that. So really it's basically a relaxation of what we got, or a reduction in distances. And we wanted to talk to you guys about how y'all felt about going ahead and moving and relaxing as well. I don't think
I thought we didn't have any choice. I thought we couldn't do anything any more restrictive than what the state had.
that was.
But remember, we had set some guidelines before the state
Yes.
finally did something, and ours
Right.
ended up being more restrictive, and we had to do away with what we had.
We did.
So it seems like we would have no choice but to follow what the state guidelines are.
And I don't know how that order reads, because I didn't get a chance to read the actual executive order. But I know that you're exactly right. He said you could not be, more restrictive. You had to follow what their guidelines.
The way it sounds, once you read the guidelines and you get to the end, it says there's no enforcement.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
It's
You know,
just a
it's
good
like-
suggestion.
Yeah,
Is that right, Nathan? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
I confess, I have every executive order issued since this thing started last year, and it's about that high now.
yeah.
And I'm not, Mr. Happy is right, that they all said, I mean, I was reading them diligently at first, and then they all got saying the same thing, that it said cannot be any more or less restrictive.
Right.
And I just haven't looked at the most recent one to see if it says that as well. Yeah, they all did say that. So whether you live in Fulton County or Carroll County, the governor has said our restrictions have to be the same.
And these just.
Whether that's lies or not, I'm not gonna comment. That was the executive.
I think the point I was making, there is no enforcement.
Well,
That's what it sounds like.
I think that, and again, this is a year's worth of these blended together, but I thought at some point that the law enforcement was allowed
Yes.
to enforce some of the like, probably all of it, but I think the main thing was that, you go by a restaurant, there's clearly nothing they were authorized.
Well, I was thinking the relaxation just then, he said there was no enforcement.
Maybe, like I said, I've kind of, the executive orders haven't changed life a whole lot since the very first handful of them. So, I'd be glad to look at it and let you know for certain.
I looked it up last night, but I couldn't quite read the executive orders, so just, I had to just do the highlights of it, but, I just thought we may need to bring it back up and take a look at what we've got in light of the changes. And again, if the board, would like us to, we'll go down and try to get that executive order, kind of highlight what we've got there, what it's changed, and we'll get compliance back in. That's what we were talking about earlier. It may, allow us to open up more, meeting space here, for
Well,
example.
not only that, but just where people can do their business in person.
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
it is hard. Everybody does not have access to getting online. I mean, even for probate and will, it's quite a struggle. And, I mean, even the Department of Labor, everything on there is online. I hope to goodness, if we got through all this, they're gonna open up some of theirs too, because
I hope so.
you got all these people needing to hire people, but it's hard to even deal with anything with the Department of Labor.
I would just like to say whatever those changes are, we can get in front of it and just make sure that we share that information to our constituents, because it has changed so much. And just the consistency of the information. So whatever that standard is that the state has, is that we make sure that we get it out to our constituents, people here in Meriwether County, so that we can be in compliance. And more than likely, by the time we fully understand it and implement it, there'll another one to come up again. So, but in the meantime, we want to be cognizant, and it'll be good just to see where our numbers at in our county in comparison to our surrounding counties, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be safe everywhere.
Our numbers have been going down.
But our numbers have been good, and it's so if whatever we can do to keep those numbers in that direction, then we'll make those necessary changes, because we do not want the elevation of the numbers going up. So we've been very blessed overall in comparison. So just find out what it is, and let's make sure that we get the information out and communicate it as effectively as we can. That would be my suggestion.
And we'll certainly do that. Like I said, this just came about last week, so we haven't had a chance.
Probably get something by Friday too.
Probably. But I have a view, and that's kind of the way it was. Unless I'm Nathan got his stack, that should be that. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that up, and we'll bring those changes and adjustments back, and we'll get that out to the.
Other than you getting a copy, editing and posting out, there's nothing for us to do here. Okay, well, that brings us up to number 5.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask the question, please? Because when you do all of this and get the information out to, say, the municipalities, what are the penalties if you still be in violation?
I don't know that there are any.
I don't know that, I really don't know how to answer that.
I mean, if they're not gonna be any enforcement, then like there's gonna be any real
Yeah, that's pretty much,
Yes.
I think once we get it fleshed out and Darren gets a copy out there, it should be pretty much self-explanatory. If there's no enforcement, that's going to be a horse of another color. Does that help? Okay. I assume that took care of that. Let's move on to,
Number 5.
I was looking across the table there for just a minute. But anyway, discussion of paving criteria for dirt roads, and we're going to include Beulah Evans in this. I've been asked to do that. So, Mr. Gay.
Okay. Chairman, Commissioners, I've looked at this criteria. It's interesting to those who are involved in some of this criteria. But I was looking back at that in, I think, 2008. So we've worked on this in the past.
Oh, yeah.
And last meeting, Commissioner Patton provided another entity that had a similar type process. And there's detail more out about here's how you go about doing it. It wasn't just here's your criteria. So we worked on this yesterday, and there were a few, I didn't get a chance to read it pretty finally until last night, but there are a few things that need to change, and I'll mention those down the road. Each of you should have a copy of this criteria that we're trying to put together. And, we mentioned the purpose of it, establishing methodology and procedures. And the first area is criteria. This is what it takes to be able to have a road considered for paving. And we need to add to that right-of-way must be donated. That was one of the things that I think in the transition got left out. But it's got to be an existing county road. We don't want to take on, people's driveways that they build a lot of houses on. Got to have a minimum of 75 vehicle trips per day. Got to be responsible for removal of any encroachment. If they've got a fence or landscaping or mailbox or whatever, they need to be responsible and understand once the donated right of way, they're responsible for removing that. And the county does not have to reimburse them for it or build it back. Needs to be one house per every 500 feet of roadway. And now on the through road, if you have a road that connects a couple of heavily traveled roads, those may not come into play. You have to look at everything just a little bit differently. Utility relocation cost, we established this a little time ago, must not exceed 50% of the paving cost. So if you've got something where you have water labs and utility labs and cable and fiber and all of these things, gas labs, you have to move, and it gets to be almost cost prohibitive. If you spend half of what your whole project costs on just utility, then that's probably a road that's not going to qualify for paving. The other side of that coin is most of the time, if you have a dirt road, you're not going to have an excessive amount of utilities either. So, but we just need to to be careful with that. There also could be extraordinary special circumstances that the board may say, hey, look, we'll waive the requirements or we'll approve moving forward with it. Again, that leaves some discretion up to the board in terms of considering special circumstances. If it gets to be that, let's just say the road is, built on rock, and in between the various rocks, it has, large deep streams, and the cost of paving is excessive or cost prohibitive, then the board would reserve the right to not pave that road. We did mention here about in the event that is the dead end road, we might want to have it where we could look at an 18-foot paving standard as opposed to a 20. That would help us, get through some of the gravel roads that are not through roads. And just a through road, we would like to have a greater pavement standard. Right of way needs to be, again, dedicated 100%, 60 feet right of way, 30 foot consider that an existing road. And I noted it here, this is something I didn't have in the past, but I thought, yesterday was like working on it. There may be the need for additional right-of-way or construction easements, if you have street crossing or a situation where you have road sections and it just stops. So it should say road sections that may need realignment. So if you got a deep curve, you need to cut that curve out, you may have to have additional right-of-way. So now, we went back and took a look at the procedure. And on the procedure, to have a payment request petition, and this is what this document will serve as a payment request petition. And that would be the first step with the citizens on the road, if they're interested in obtaining this petition. And we noted here, we can put blank copies of Meriwether County government site. And I noted through building and zoning office, I thought about public works, and I thought, well, public works sometimes got around in the field, so it may be better to have them pick up those at that office, or we could use our office if you will. Property owner support, in order for the petition to be considered complete, we have noted it's got to have the signatures of the property owners along the road, such that 100% of the road frontage is pledged for donation.
Explain that to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Why such a high percentage, and what does that actually mean?
What that actually means is, if there are, let's just say there's 100 properties that have frontage, and only 80 of them right of way, or say we'll give you the right of way, then it's going to be left up to somebody to obtain that right of way through either the conveying or the purchase or whatever. And I know that going in, we hope that all of these roads that needed the right of way, the citizens would be willing to donate that right of way, because if this group isn't, there's a group over here that probably will. And so what we want to do is we really want to get them to get signatures of all the people that are on the road. Everybody that's on the road or owns property on the road, because they're going to be impacted by it. And so what we want to do is have them commit that all of you, everybody here will commit that right away. Now, if the county's willing to purchase right away, we can make that less. But there again, that's a slippery slope. Because while I may be willing to give it today,
I think it's a pretty normal procedure.
You're right.
100%, just like on closing the road, everybody's got to agree to do it, all the ones that are on the frontage anyway, got to do it, so I think that's pretty normal.
What I want to ask is, we've got, I'll bring up Wheeler Evans Road. Mount Pilgrim Road is the road that we're going to pave. The majority of the people who are asking for that road to be paved does not live on that road. On Mount Pilgrim Road. They live off of Mount Pilgrim Road. It's a subdivision feeding into that. So they are the ones who ask and petition. So you're saying, even though this is what they're requesting, they don't live on the road, they don't have any say, per se, on that road, if I'm correct?
And I think the difference with Mount Pilgrim is the right of way is already correct.
But I understand that, but I'm just saying for future purposes, and I'm gonna talk about Wheeler Evans Road, because this criteria that we're coming up with is not for any specific road. This is the guideline moving forward.
Right.
So whether you're on Mount Pilgrim Road, Wheeler Evans Road, Lily Patrick Road, these are the basic guidelines we're gonna go by. My question to you is based on this, for those who feed into a road like Beulah Evans, Mount Pilgrim, Lily Patrick Road, that wants that road paved because they feed into it. They don't live on there, on that road. So those who actually live on the road that has the frontage are the ones who are going to have to give that right away. And if those individuals don't want to do it, regardless of what the people who live on the existing roads that feed into that, then it won't get done. All right. That's what, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying? That's what I want to understand, because just because I live off of this road and I feed into so much traffic, but if the people who actually live and own the property.
You can't make somebody else give up their property for your benefit.
Unless, it's, the demand is so great to do it, you can do eminent domain, the county has that right to come back in. You don't necessarily want to go that route. But if we look at the fact how many homes we've got, and I'm just gonna give an example, on Beulah Evans Road, on the road itself, there might be only 10 houses. But the number of roads that feed into that, and the number of houses off of that road is 80.
If you go,
So that's why I'm asking this 100%. I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Hadley, about this, but I'm understanding, we also need to understand that, and like I said, this is not a final thing today, but this is the guidelines that we're gonna use moving forward, so.
yeah, and we'll use the Beulah as an example. Based upon my measures from the computer, leaving Lucasville Road till you get to the first road, paved subdivision street to the right is 1.5 miles. And very few houses along there. But you've got to have that right of way to be able to, pave the road and get down to where the majority of the people live. So, you're exactly right. I mean, if I live over here on the cul-de-sac, which paved subdivision, somebody else has got to do their right of way. But what I'm hoping is that we'll all be good neighbors and I can go down and say, look, I come by, your house every day and I know that the impact that I'm having, the neighbors having, keeps the road muddy for you. And we'd love to talk to you and have you help us get that right of way. And if you can, then we will, we've got a petition to get the road paved. So.
But I need clarity. I just wanted clarity on that, and there's one other thing. So I'll let you continue. There's one other thing I want to ask.
And we'll answer any questions that we have. So, that shows property owner support because very honestly, we don't have the staff to go and get the right of way, down options. We can help. I know you guys as commissioners may be willing to, help. But you're gonna have some help from citizens as well. The request for payment, shall be made by completing this petition and returning the documents here. It says Fairway County Building and Zoning, and our office, but we'll return to which one that needs to be, but it needs to come back to the county. And then once that is done, because there's really no need in us going out and examining all these dirt roads, doing the mileage, doing the calculations, and it's not something that's really going to qualify. So once we get that completed application, we'll take a look at it and say, okay, does it meet the criteria? And we will then determine an estimated cost of that. And then we will bring that back to the board. And once it comes back to you guys, y'all can take a look at the staff review. You can see what the cost is, and then you can say, okay, from there, we would like to move forward with seeking right of way. That time, we would provide property ownership information to the petitioners, and we would do right of way deeds to the petitioners. We can have those for each parcels. But we are going to need the applicants and the petitioners to be able to help us acquire those signatures, because that's, you can have somebody, you can have a couple of people working full time, we're trying to get that done. And then once the right of way's been acquired, we would get our attorney to just double check and make sure everything was in order. And we bring it back to the board for the approval and get acceptance of the right of way. And then what we can do is we will program for funding and project construction date and move forward from there. Of course, if sufficient funds do not exist for a year, it'll have to be budgeted in the future, or as you talked earlier, before there are unforeseen circumstances occur. It also could be further delayed. Well, we gotta have the money to do it. And I think every mile we're looking at right now, we got bids out in the state, but they're about $300,000 a mile. Probably.
How much is that? 300,000?
Yes, ma'am. And that is based on using the full depth reclamation process we talked about. So, and then of course, in the back of this form is the petition itself. Make multiple copies of this and attach it. So they'll be able to get the signatures of the neighbors. And we'll print their name, because it maybe like me, if I sign my name, sometimes I can't even read it. So, be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So we've got a few little typos we need to sign exactly where it needs to go. I thought about here, and I guess here would be a reasonable place for us to get it started. But we can work with that.
I want to say to you, Theron, thank you so much for putting this together. We've been talking about it for quite some time, but literally putting it on paper. So I appreciate the work that you did. And I also appreciate the board members, if you had a chance to read over the sample that I gave you from Lowndes County, which is in Valdosta. The one thing I would like for us to add on to this that they had in theirs was they indicated that they would have a public meeting. So when roads are being done, I think it needs to be publicly announced so that people will know. And so that once again, whenever a road is paved, going from a dirt to a paved road, then the criteria of what that road met would be available for people to pull up, and they'll know how that road got that qualified, met the criteria. So the procedure, so I understand the difference in the criteria, what it takes, but the procedure of doing it. So I think in the procedure, I think we also should add in there that there would be, the county would conduct a public information meeting within, they've got within 90 days or whenever we vote on it, whenever a board, whether it's this board or a previous board vote on it, that is put out in the public so people will know in advance. And the other thing I think we should put on there or make a comment regarding funding. We do have T-Splosh, and while we have it, we know we can use it for that. But I also want to say, as you stated earlier, depending on funding, that any other funding available, be it grant, federal funding, whatever, that, we would use all those possible resources. So just once again, this, and the other thing that they had in theirs that I like, they said this shall be a consistent and uniform process for paving dirt roads upon request by citizens. So once again, anytime we can keep it simple, clear, precise, it makes it easy. But once again, I thank you for this. This is going to make it so much easier.
And on the meeting, I think they had like a concept meeting as well, this, that, the other. And I really wanted us to get a little further into the project before we did that meeting. Now, like, for example.
What I mean by meeting is that once this board has, once this board or a board has approved, you just put it in a public notice that it has been approved and that it will be sent out as an RFP and all of that. Now, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying that you bring everybody in. I'm just saying make a notification that we have done that. Just like when you're doing RFPs for different road work, we put it out, it's advertised, it's put in the paper. That's the only thing I'm asking.
Absolutely.
And for the attorney, would that be the most appropriate way to do it?
That's a matter of you and your, political matter of you and your constituents. As far as legal goes, there's no legal requirement. This board would have to approve it in a public meeting for the meeting.
Right.
But beyond that, any notice you can give the public is totally up to the board.
Okay.
One of the things that I would like us to do, in fact, we've got, next meeting, we've got some bids that will come. And once those bids are awarded, what I'd like to do is set up a meeting with the neighborhood, the people that live on the street. And I would like to ask you guys to go, as commissioners with us as well. And we'll talk to them about the timeline. We'll talk to them about how it's going to impact and what they'll see. All of these things that will transpire over the next few months as we're going to go through their pay. And I think that would be valuable for them, sure that they'll be able to get in and out. What does it look like when we're not going to work out their night? Just let them know, hey, this is going to come. So I don't want to show up with a motor grader and start the work. Right. So, so I do think that public hearing, but I'll work with that and get that implemented in here as well.
Maybe I'm missing something, but under project approval number 6 and all, why wouldn't all of that fall under there? Because once it comes to the Board of Commissioners, all of that's going to be part of public record.
It will.
And you're going to announce that, it's going to be on the agenda. I mean, what am I missing?
What are you asking? What are you asking? What are you missing? I don't understand. What's the question?
Your question was on the hearing, or, I mean, maybe I'm not understanding what was.
No, I'm not asking for a hearing. I'm just saying, once this board or any board has approved a road going from a dirt road to a paved road, even though you vote in here, I think that it should be put in the newspaper or advertised that we have approved it, and just online or something like that, so that all the citizens will know that this road is being paved, not just the people who live in that on Mount Pilgrim Road or whatever the road is that we're going to pave. It's just acknowledging the fact that we have these criteria and we voted. That's all I'm asking.
And it will be coming back to you guys at
Right.
multiple points.
Right.
in the Development of it anyway. We'll be bringing it back saying, okay, we got the petition in, okay? Do you want to, it meets the criteria, move forward right away. Once we get right away, we'll bring that back in, and then we'll discuss funding. So it'll be a process that has to be talked about, but yeah, we need to put it on the website.
That's all I'm asking. I mean, it's.
If you don't know the paving, I mean, this is a big deal, and we haven't.
It's gonna require survey, title work. I mean, it's not, you can't just go and do this. It's gonna take you a while, even if, and that's not doing it with eminent domain. It's a process doing it that way. If you, eminent domain is a whole nother ball of wax. Which
I think one thing that Commissioner Hines might be trying to point out too, though, anything to do with roads can be volatile around here, and everybody thinks their road is the most important. So what we do, because we haven't been paving any dirt roads. I mean, Alley Road, I think, was the last one, and that's been a long time ago. So I think just putting it out here, this is the road we're doing, and this is how it was decided that we would do it. Just information.
That's all
Because
I'm
what we're gonna start doing, we're gonna get calls, well, why isn't my road done, and so is. And I think it's just putting more information out there about a situation with paving, which is of concern to the majority of the people who live here, so.
And I think it is a deal. I mean, this will be the first road.
It will be a big deal, you're exactly right, everybody's gonna wanna know why theirs wasn't done.
And if you have something that's, you have your criteria, you can go to the website, you can pull it up, and you know what those steps were, then that ease and eliminate unnecessary
Confusion
and things of that, and the consistency of how you're doing it is precious. So once again, I thank you for what you've done on this. I do want at this time to bring up Beulah Evans Road. I've talked about this road ever since I've been on the board. I was on this road this past weekend, and I'm here to say it was very disheartening to experience what I did, to see the condition of the road. I too almost got stuck and couldn't get out. I was in my Dodge Ram, and it's one of those, it can go, it can move, but it was terrible. And when your constituents tell you that they cannot get out to go to the doctor, or people can't come visit them, it's just disheartening. And I know that we've been, money's always been an issue, but our citizens have voted for T-Splosh, and they're wanting to see something. And I do think we've got to do something. And so I'm not sure why Beulah Evans was not part of the initial rows in this first phase of T-Splosh. So I want to put in a motion now that Beulah Evans Road is considered on this first phase of roads to get paved. Whether we're using T-Splosh or the money that comes down, hopefully through the American Recovery Plan, we can look at that. But my motion is that Beulah Evans is put on this first slate of roads as well. Because we did discuss, we've had a lot of discussion, and I went back and read over the minutes, and maybe I've overlooked it, but I went back and read over the minutes from the time that we passed T-Splosh. We discussed a lot of roads, but I do not remember reading where we voted. So
We talked about 3 sets of roads, the 2 sets that got over the bid, and we talked about Beulah Evans. The difference in those roads, right away was already in place, they're ready to go. Beulah Evans is a tremendous task, because you've got so much right away. As I said earlier, you're gonna spend about $450,000 paving to get to your house, just to get to there. And I mean, I think that's fine, but there's a lot of right of way. And so, as Nathan said earlier, getting right of way, getting things done, and getting all the bead work takes a while. Our issue was, we want to get out and pave some roads.
Get something done.
Get something done. If Beulah Evans is still out there, and I think, Bill, you've already done a lot of work out of Beulah Evans Road to get it looked at in terms of,
I worked with the tax assessor's office and, and then we were trying to get the right of way certified and there's only like 30 feet, some less than 40 others.
yeah. So,
What I'm saying, Theron, is I'm glad that we're going to get something done, that we're going to pay other roads. That's not my concern. My concern right now is for those in my district to say to me, and the condition that this road has been, and we've been dealing with this, I've been dealing with this since 2016, that I want Beulah, I'm making a motion that Beulah Evans Road is put on the list for the first phase. I'm not saying it has to be done today, but I want it on the list, and I'm making a motion that is on the list and that we look at it in this first phase of roads that we're gonna pay. That's all I'm asking right now.
yeah, and I think we're already doing that. We've already identified the properties, we looked at it. Had it had right of way, we probably would put it all together, but there's just no right of way. That is something you have to get. We cannot do it without the right of way.
I understand that, and I'm not saying that we can't get it. I'm just asking, I'll put it like this, to the board. I'm putting a motion on the floor that Beulah Evans Road is considered as one of the next roads to get paved and go through the process of getting right-of-ways and everything, and I'm putting that as a motion.
Well, I guess we have to act on the motion first, but I'd like to talk about, do we have to go through that first before we can?
Second,
You gotta have a second, right? Beulah Evans being.
I'd like some more discussion before we make the motion, I mean,
You
because.
gotta have a second before there can be a discussion. You ain't gotta vote for it because you second it, but there's gotta be a second before there's discussion.
I'll second it, because I
Before
want,
it dies.
okay, I'll second it so we can discuss. I talked with a gentleman yesterday, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember his name, but it was the gentleman who retired from Fulton County Public Works. Huh?
Gary Sargent.
Yes. And we had a long discussion yesterday about Beulah Evans and his exact word. Well, first of all, he was very appreciative of some work that was being done out there, maybe even yesterday or the day before. And we did have a lot of discussion about some rather large potholes that were out there. And his exact words to me, and I mean, I'm sure you've talked with him too, but he said, we're not even really interested in getting this road paved. We just want to make sure we're on the list to get these potholes taken care of and then maintained. And because he mentioned the deal about the sharp curve and the bank or something, and I know y'all are more familiar with that than I am, but that was his exact words to me. And he said that he was speaking on behalf of the citizens out there, of the community. Huh? That's right. That's what he told me yesterday. And like I said, because he said he understood that, you know, we'd be talking about the dirt roads or something today. But I mean, you can tell me whether that's right or wrong, but that's exactly what he said was, he said, we're not even asking for that to be on the list for paving right now. We just want more consistent fixes on what issues we have. And he was very appreciative of what had been done. And I believe he said you were meeting with him on Friday or Monday, one in person to actually go out there. Now you can tell me whether that's right or wrong or whatever, but that's just what he,
Consistent what he told me also.
okay.
Well,
And tell me his name again. I'm sorry. I was riding when we had to talk and,
Gary Sargent.
okay.
And I have his number.
I spoke to him, he said the same thing, he said that we really don't care what road you pay to die. And, I was not really aware of the potholes until there were a lot of potholes and that.
He said 17, I think is what he told me.
Bill was gonna look at, Bill, you had that chance to go out there.
I rode out there a week before last and it had some gravel with it added where it had some real wet and unstable conditions. Back when it was raining a good bit, and I do know the public works they do as much attention out there, they do probably more so than the other roads in the county.
Well, I want to say this. It is, if we go and pull the records of how often Public Works go on Beulah Evans Road and the amount of gravel we pay, the two things, in 2017, we had Crawford Grading to go out and look at the bank and gave an estimate. And that was in 2017 and nothing was done. If nothing else, that bank needs to be taken care of, the ditches need to be taken care of, and there's a culvert that is given away on one section. At the end of the day, for me and for those in my district, I want Beulah Evans to be part of this first phase, and if this first phase is getting that bank taken care of and the ditches cleaned out, it's just unsafe. And there's,
That's what I was gonna ask you.
it's very unsafe,
Can
and
we amend it to say that it's in the first group, but for us to look at that bank and whatever other work we've got to do, but be using the first phase of the T-Splosh. And then I guess the paving could come later, because like I said, I understand we've got to do something with that bank and curve before we really can do.
And the thing, I'm also, Commissioner Halley, I want you to be aware, and I know you've not had the opportunity, please go and look at that road, because off that road, we've closed 2 roads off of Beulah Evans Road in the past 5 years. Because Beulah Evans Road used to run in a dead end at Barron Road and then Acres Road. So that road was closed, and then another road was closed. So now people are traveling on Barron Road much more frequently because there is no more outlet going all the way out Acres Road. So the traffic is really bad. And when Beulah Evans Road is not passable, it's really bad, then they have to come back the other way on Barron Road. And so once again, we've got to do something. The people who live over there should not be living, they should not have to determine whether they're gonna go to the grocery store or go to the doctor because of the condition of the roads, they can't get out of their household.
Well, that was
So
one
I'm
thing
more
Mr.
than
Sargent
willing-
told me yesterday. He tried to get out on his motorcycle and couldn't. He had to turn around and go back home. The road was so bad, he could not make it to get out the other end. And you're right, they should not have to do that.
That is, it's totally
I agree.
unacceptable. And
I
the other
agree.
thing is there's so much, they have put a lot of gravel, and a lot of the gravel is in the ditches. I don't know if this is true or not. It was told to me that someone came and took someone came and took gravel out of the ditch and hauled it all. I don't know if there's a police report or anything of that nature, but so much of, if we're spending all this money in gravel and then we turn around and it's in the ditches, it hasn't helped out. So I will redo my motion to say that my motion is that Beulah Evans Road would be addressed, dealing with the bank situation as far as the high bank, also with the ditches and the culverts that's in that area. So that will be my motion on the floor.
And I'll
at
second
this
that.
time. Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on Beulah Evans? Okay, let me get a vote from you. All in favor of proceeding with we'll go ahead and do that. So passes.
Thank you.
So what we're doing is you've got Beulah Evans Road addressing the high banks, ditches, and culverts. And on the first priority on the new,
Or with this first round of T-Splosh.
okay, that's what I need. Thank you.
I know when I talked to Mr. Sargent the next day, we had crews out there. And I know the word got back, he thought I had sent them out there. Actually, they were already scheduled to be there before I had a chance to call them.
He does think you got it out there.
Right, and I wanted to give our crews credit if they were out there.
He was very appreciative.
Yeah, but they were already there. I didn't get that done. They were already there, so.
Just so I'm clear now, do we need to go back and adopt this, make a motion and adopt it, and then?
We've got to add a couple of
I'm
things.
gonna do some, work over and add some, a couple of things to discuss. Right. And I'll have it ready. Next meeting.
Okay, let's move ahead and pick up number 6 here on our agenda.
Okay.
Amendment to the solid waste ordinance to require tarping on loaded and unloaded vehicles.
Okay.
And you should have that in the pack, and it addresses the ordinance number 2021-02. Do I need to read this through?
It's up to you guys. I mean, what it was I went back in and replaced 26, 27's new language. We added severability, and Nathan reviewed it. What we had was state law requires a tarped vehicle. You have to have tarp if you got materials, you're hauling materials. But it does not require you to re-tarp it after you have emptied that. So the thought behind that was, well, they've emptied all the things out over and stuff, and we don't have to have them re-tarp it. But what we know is that a lot of times material gets sold up in there, it doesn't empty completely, they don't sweep it out. it ends up on the side of the road. So what we've done is to go in and we added a clause that said, now this is with commercial vehicles or vehicles for rent. So if I'm driving down the road and I got a bucket on the back of my truck, I don't have to have it tarped. If I'm taking trash, I need to. But this is on commercial vehicles, but it just says that they shall not be operated. No person shall drive or move any loaded or unloaded vehicle that is a commercial vehicle and or vehicle for hire while picking or delivering to any solid waste disposal facility or site operated within the county unless that vehicle is covered by canvas or other material providing complete coverage, properly secured, so as to prevent any load from escaping, falling out. And then there's another provision there about tracking mud and other substances out onto the roadway. You can't do that as well. So that is part of that as well. And really, this kind of comes from a conversation I think that Vice Chairman McCoy and I had with Big One Landfill. And it was that a lot of times there are things that blow from the trucks, and so we will get this out to people there. This morning coming in, I noticed this when we do the recycling, capture the metals up here. They have a lot of trucks coming in as well, so we'll be sure to get them a copy of it, because what they're gonna have to do is just tarp that when they leave. And most of the big trucks already have the tarps automated. I think all they got to do is just roll it back in.
So let me ask you this, how do we enforce this, and is there a penalty if they're in violation?
There's a penalty, and it gets back into our fines and penalties set forth in section 1-11 of the code, and that can be enforced through our code enforcement office. And
I guess law enforcement could too.
law enforcement could too. And in the the landfill, and others should help us as well. I mean, when the trucks leave, they need to say, you gotta be tarred. If not, we're gonna go back and ask them why they're not required to. And so they'll work with us. They actually even suggested that we could get this done. They would work with us and try to prevent that, because I think they spend a lot of time picking up litter as well. So that's what we're looking at there. Anything else on that? That's it.
Well, I appreciate the work that Mr. Gay did on that, because it is a problem that way, and it's actually more than just trash. It becomes a safety problem when that stuff blows off on the car behind you. And we've already experienced that. But that, nothing else being said, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. We accept ordinance 2021.
Second.
Litter control, and allow the chair to sign.
I'm sorry, second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you all for that. All right. Mr. Gay, I was just looking for the request for the budget amendment to the probate court. I don't think I have anything.
I don't see anything either. That's what I was.
We really kind of run out of time to get to that, so I'm not going to explain it to y'all today. The judge called us. He says, "This is Bill and I." He is being overrun with carry permits to the point that weapon carry permits. He is being overrun with that to the point that right now, if you make an appointment, you're going to be into months out.
It's October, I think, right now.
And so he says, we just cannot keep it up. He said, I really got to have somebody to just handle this and this, to be able to, have an extra person there that can just handle this. That would be their sole job, is to work on this. Because when you come in, it's not like coming in and you get stamped and you go. You got to have a fingerprint, you got to have a photograph, you got to do this. And so I asked him, I said, well, how many days a week? He said, well, a little more than 40. If I had somebody, maximum 3 days a week. So what we looked at was, my recommendation was try to run it in until we get to near the budget for the upcoming year. And if it's still needed, he can budget into his budget. But I think we're looking at a request of about about $8,600 to adjust to his budget. That would allow him to be able to hire someone to work specifically on this, because, you know, he also does, the politics and Superior Court for us as well, serves kind of like, almost like a state court for us. And they have a lot of work with that, but this is something that's, you know, a problem everywhere. And it would seem to me after a period of time, everyone should have 4 or 5 per this, but people just keep coming.
I don't think it's that so much. We went through all that time where you couldn't renew during COVID. So now you've got all these folks trying, because they just automatically extended them, but now you have to go and get them renewed. But with the relaxation of the rules too, they ought to be able to start having more people come in, because I mean, you can't walk in up there at the probate office right now and do anything and may not even get them on the phone. But that ought to change once they get caught up. But I do know that, because I've had some citizens to call and wanted me to check on it. And I mean, I think really truly right now, if you want to get one, they got some times reserved for renewals. But if you want to get a new permit, you're down to about October to get in.
This will take out, get us through the end of this fiscal year.
You have to look at it.
Yeah, let me look at it. And of course, it, you know, things hopefully will be more back to normal, and we may not have to have that position moving forward. But we were just trying to be able to ensure we could deliver that service to the citizens. So that would be my recommendation, would be to do $8,600. You know, that will take him through September 30. And he may not spend all that. I mean, it may be less.
But he will have $8,600 added to his budget.
Yes, sir. That would be
between now and the next fiscal year. I have no problem with that. Do we need a motion for that? Well, I move. Were you gonna make the
No,
motion?
I just said, I think so. We'll need a motion.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Well, I move we add the $8,600 to the present budget for the probate court.
I second that.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? So carries, Ms. Beverly. Looks like we're up to this automatic aid agreement.
We have fire department here today to, you know, to discuss this or answer any questions. And Chief, I guess in just in a nutshell, this is an agreement between the various parties to allow for access and assistance to other counties and other cities, and they'll provide the same back to us. It outlines that if we do respond in that, then we're still responsible for our equipment, our personnel, et cetera. So if anything happens, you know, that's back on us, but the reverse of that is true as well. And I think that way it gives you a better idea of what you could expect in the event of a situation.
Absolutely.
And so looked at it, and of course, Chief could answer any questions. My thought only would be that the board sees, you know, it wants to move forward with approval. We just do it based upon legal review, and that's Nathan to take a look at. I know there's one clause that he and I talked about briefly, needed to make some minor changes, but Chief?
Basically, what we already working under is mutual aid agreements. That's common practice. And we have a fire in one municipality or in our county. We get there, decide if we're gonna need help, and then we respond to somebody from another county or request them from another county, which puts us about 10 to 12 minutes behind on people responding. With an automatic aid agreement, we would automatically request the people as we're going to the call. And then when we get there, we can cancel them if we don't need them. The benefit of having this is getting there people quicker if we need them. And mutual aid does not count toward any ISO points, but automatic aid does. So that can help us with our ISO rating.
Good.
This will also give us members of the citizens of Meriwether County on the fringes of our county lines would have the benefit of being possibly being in a lower class ISO rating. An example of that's out on Chipley Highway from Station 10 out there to Harris County line is over 5 miles. So once they break that 5 mile mark, the people that are outside that 5 miles from Station 10 have a higher insurance, fire insurance fee that they have to pay. If we have this agreement with Pine Mountain Fire Department, then they can come into our county, because then those people in our county will be less than 5 miles from a fire department, and their insurance premiums would be cheaper. But we also have to go in through Pike County to get into some of the Meriwether County property. So we drive through Pike County city limits to get into some of Meriwether County. So the other benefit of that is Pike County could come in and help us out with those areas. And then we could go into Pike County and, or excuse me, not Pike County, Pine Mountain Fire Department area and help them out in the town, in the city there. That would also help us in Clevia Springs with Flint Hill Fire Department. That will also help us in Warm Springs with Flint Hill, and also Manchester in both of those areas. ISO gives us points for the equipment and manpower in other fire departments if we have automatic aid with them. So we're not going to be helping one another. We'll basically be helping one another the same amount, but get more benefits out of it just by ringing it out early on in the call. And that's what this is all about.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
It sure does. And I take it you've done quite a few of these in the past, too?
I've been involved in a few of them, yes.
Do y'all have any questions?
This is not just exclusive to these three. You'll continue to work with surrounding counties and communities.
Absolutely. For instance, I think Meriwether Street that actually begins in Coweta County and comes into Meriwether County. We're going to work agreements out all the way around the county. This is just the first three that have already gotten with me, and I've gotten with them that would like to sit down and draw this out on our ISO maps. So this is the first. This is just getting started.
I didn't look at the signature block.
This would be, again, my recommendation would be approval with legal review.
Okay. Well, I guess what I need is a motion for approval to allow the chairman to sign
With legal review.
with legal review.
So moved.
That's a second. You said so moved? Okay.
Did
Do I
you
have a
make
second?
Oh,
Second.
okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Was
All in
was yours
favor?
the motion?
Okay, that's fine with me. That's good. We got it out there. Let's move on to item number 9, which was our addition. Thank you, Chief, for presenting that.
Thank you.
All righty. This is, I'm gonna let you handle it, Mr. Theron. Here's an agreement between us and Manchester. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Manchester, Warm Springs is they're trying to make a CDBG grant. They're trying to work on that for some water system improvements. And of course, they really need endorsement letters and that people are in support of it. And they're simply asking us to provide them with that. And they indicate that they're going to add, additional fire hydrants, eliminate the need for water tanker trucks and allow them to have more, pressure. And I would recommend that we sign the letter, just say we're in full support of the submission and ultimate funding of that much needed project for the city of Warm Springs. There's no financial obligation from us whatsoever. And this is just a letter of endorsement for the grant. I would recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner? Letter from him for an endorsement of the grant. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I make a motion, we support Warm Springs in their efforts
And allow the chairman to
to,
sign.
and allow the chairman to sign.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor? Looks like that passed, Ms. Beverly.
Thank you, sir.
I'm up to my last item. Let's see. Ms. Shirley, the tax commissioner, if you would, Commissioner Hines.
Thank you to the board. I've received several calls from, regarding the position that we've taken with the tax commissioner. And the only thing that I would like to bring to the board's attention is ask, can we consider having some form of a mitigation or bringing a third party in to talk a little bit more and talk this out? My constituents are asking me, what is this going to cost the county? You know, what's the expense? And I told them I didn't know. But I think if we can at least look at another option to bring more dialogue to the table and bring a third party in, that may be helpful. I'm not sure whether it will or not, but once again, it was brought to my attention that some of the citizens would like to see us look at other options as well before we go totally down this route. I know we've already voted, but then let's look at some other options as well. So that's what I wanted to discuss.
Just, of course, this is the board's decision. But I know there's been a lot said about you guys having refused to meet with people and have people come in and mediate or whatever through ACCG and others. That's simply not correct. The organizations that originally had talked and the individuals that originally talked to ACCG, there was no real follow-through. ACCG, the only call they ever made was, I think they reached out to our county attorney and, you know, we just said, well, hey, this is bigger than what is being asked here. And there's some other things that go along with it too, like, well, if you don't do this, you know, I'll do this. And but I just wanted to let you guys know that based upon the conversation I've had, and we go anywhere we want to with it, the statements have been made that y'all turned down opportunities to requests from others to get involved and mediate this. Y'all never received any formal request that I'm aware of or that I know of any of you did. And according to ACCG, there was no formal request that ever were they reached out. So I just want to clarify that as we talk about that.
What I would like to say is whether we had a request or not, the issue that I wanted to just bring to the board is just look at some other options. If nothing else, it's just put it on the floor. That's all I'm asking.
I'm on very unfamiliar ground, so I'm gonna ask Nathan. Nathan, with what we've done, is this route open to us or what is it, or what's available?
I mean, you can always have further discussions.
Okay.
I think
That's up to the board.
Yeah,
There's
and I think
no legal requirement one way or the other.
Okay.
That's the board decision.
Well, I think we really have two things here, if I'm understanding it right. The action we were taking was simply to ask to be allowed permission to get in the building to work, right?
to stop interfering with what we've got.
Just get in there and do our work. That
And
really didn't address
do the
any,
job.
that's not to address any other issues that we've had. It was just specifically to be able to get in the building to work.
That and being sure that the dollars are collected and dispersed back to you guys.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true.
And at the end of the phase of this, where we almost are, is we are gonna have the ability to sit back down. Because we don't want it to go any further. We want to have all parties sit and say, hey, let's resolve this. We're not doing anything other than trying to help, but we've got to get in. You can't lock people out. You can't interfere when we have people working. And then just do a job. All we want to do is our job, but we want to have the job done where we collect the dollars and they come in. It's important to the cash flow. The success of that office is a success for all of us. And so I think there's going to be an opportunity to do that.
I don't have a problem sitting down and talking. I do think we have to proceed with being able to get in that building to do what we need to do. And we can't go back and undo the fact that we haven't gotten our money in a timely manner as directed by the law, state law. So that can't be undone. Now, it can be fixed going forward for sure, but we're at a point now where that has not been done and we're in month 4.
We're still.
I'm not opposed to sitting down, discussing and talking and getting other things done.
That's all I had, Vice Chair. It's just, once again, you know, your constituents don't always know the full information that you know. And thank you, Commissioner Hadley. You clarified that a little bit better because, you know, once again, if there's no clarity, people tend to develop their own concept. And so.
Their own scenarios.
Their own scenario about it. So just the statement that you made about being able to get into the building and all that, that just clarified things a little bit better because sometimes when you read the paper, it has this one strong view and people can interpret everything. And I just wanted to make sure, and what my constituents was saying to me is, you know, we would like to see you all come to some kind of understanding before it becomes so legally involved and expensive.
I agree.
And so, you know, there's so many other things that we need to do in the county as far as our roads and other things in our dollars. And we want to be good stewards of our money. And as you just stated, we want our money to come to, I mean, this is where we get a bulk of our revenue and we need this to operate. So I think just making sure that everyone is just, you know, talking more, will be more helpful. That's all that the citizens are asking me to bring to this board's attention. Thank you.
Was there anything else, Commissioner Hines?
No, not on that matter. Thank you so much.
That having been said, I think I'll move to report from our finance director.
Mr. Co-Chair,
Yes.
General fund is still strong. We've got almost $4 billion in the account here in Greenville, and then another $2 billion in the state treasury fund. $6 million there. Another $200 grand in the 911 account that we see local committee to do that. I just touched a little bit on the T-Slots. We've got $240,000 F&M back down in Manchester, and then we're additional $450 in the state treasury as well.
It's coming along pretty good.
We'll have $700,000 by the end of the month. According to Mr. Gage and the Bill's calculation, that will be enough to pay those two roads that y'all approved to do that. So we're looking good there.
Bill, let me ask you, on the 911, that fund, what can you do with it? Is it something you can just put over into the general fund and you don't have to specify, or it's very open to use it anyway?
No restrictions.
No restrictions on it?
What the auditors do at the end of the year is they make journal entries to just show on the books how much of the cost for public safety and 911 is that money actually covers. This doesn't come anywhere near covering the whole thing, but they show that. But there's no restrictions on it.
Is this an increase though? Does this look like it's been increasing?
We're getting more since the state has taken over the collection.
Oh, that's what, yes,
That's what
yes, so
somebody's
that's what it was. Okay, all
And
right.
I think we use it right now as a revenue for our general fund. So when we do our budget, that's in our revenues, right? I mean, listed there.
So
If
we're
we
looking
want
at
to
what
specify
about,
to go somewhere else, we could, but right now it's specified to go to our.
Commissioner Hadley, what I was just noticing, it is a tremendous increase in comparison to what? So
Yes,
we're
it's
looking at
been
what,
much
about a
lower
2 to
than that.
3% increase? Yeah.
It's running a little bit above budget this year as well. Also have the 2 monthly reports for SPOS, the T-SPOS collection. Just briefly on the SPOS, average to achieve the amount we forecast is 90,000 right now, the average over 7 months is almost under 14, so we're still running about 20 grand though. It dipped just a little bit this past month, but we do the winter months, I think we'll probably pick up the next couple of months. T-SPOS average is 92, we're at 99, so it's still above that.
Wonder what happened in March though. Look at that.
Those would be February collections.
Oh, okay, that would be February collections. That's true. That's true.
Couple of days short.
That's true. Okay, that makes sense. That's right.
Old people like me don't go out in the winter.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unless you got any questions, that's all I have.
Well, the good thing is after this year, we'll be able to do an analysis of what we did every month. And then we'll have an idea of what numbers would look like later on for the coming year.
Couple of months of being a year into the two programs, so we'll have a really good idea.
If you look at January's numbers, that tells we had a pretty good December, so that tells you that folks were out Christmas doing a lot more shopping and stuff. I mean,
Any other questions, commissioners? Well, at this time, we're gonna move on to report from the county administrator.
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, I'm not gonna bore you guys much today. We worked on some dirt road policies, on the items that, for the landfill and the tar being, attended meetings with airport authority, IDA and others. Busy time. I did want to mention, I've got a request from Ms. Mary Bray about some recommendations from the Recreation Board on some fundraisers they want to do. They want to have a walkathon on Saturday, June the 26th, and I didn't get this till after the agenda had gone out, but they would like to use County Farm Road over here for 3 or 4 hours. I didn't see any problem with it. If you guys don't see any problem with it, I'll tell them it looks like it's going to be fine. I'll get them to give us a plan of the exact times and the locations, and I'll bring that back to you guys at the next meeting. But they just kind of want to go ahead and get the word out about that.
And it's just strictly county farm.
It's on County Farm Road, yes, sir. And been working on the park grant, the service delivery strategy updates. We got that back with some minor changes. That I don't know. We made some things we didn't change. They went back and asked us to change that basically to the document they had already adopted. One, for example, it said on the very front, it said maintenance of roads and bridges, and in the back it said road and bridge maintenance. And I'm like, well, but we got to change that. So anyway, we'll make those changes. We'll move forward with that. Commissioner Hines, I need to get with you about the signage we talked about on State Route 54 and 51. I just need to get that where I can, send it to GDOT and tell them exactly where we want those. So I did print out a copy of a photograph. Before you leave today, we can get that done. I can get that to GDOT on that signage.
And if you don't mind, reach out to the Mayor Cuddy in Lucasville, because he too have some concerns. I know we want something in Lone Oak so that they won't turn on Forest Road, or they won't turn into the industrial park and just keep straight up 54 till they get into Lucasville. But he said that, I think it was last Saturday, it was a bad accident and it was so much traffic right there at that intersection too. I think it was some big truck that couldn't turn. So he has some concern. So you may want to reach out to him as well. He may have some input and some things that he would want to share that will impact Lucasville as well.
I absolutely will. And so we mentioned that. We've got paving that's got 2 bids that are opening, I think, next Friday. And we'll have them back on your next agenda. It'll be your resurfacing projects, and it will also be your the first 2 of the dirt roads. Met with Georgia Trust down at the Covered Bridge. Good meeting. We're looking at condition of the bridge, and they're trying to seek some funds and some ways to assist us with that. And we received the documents from the school system certifying everything with the East Blast election. So I just wanted to mention that, and we'll give those to Beverly or Bill and get those filed away. So one thing that may be a bit of interest here, I had a call about the railroad underpass down at Warm Springs, and it's been a long-term project, and the question was, when is it going to be done?
3 years in August since they've been working on it.
They told me it's going to be another 15 to maybe 24 months. Lord gets done. So anyway, where you guys will all know that. So it's to the return. Airport funding, I'm gonna need to bring some information back to you guys on that with AWAS. Looks like everything's moving forward well, but there's a lot of good things happening at the airport. And I met with a gentleman the other day who is interested in, it'll be for his own use, but it would also be something for the county. He's interested putting a helipad on the east side of the county that he would work with us to use anytime we needed it. It'll be paved right up to there, so we could go off on the state route, take a paved drive right to the location if we had a situation where we had to evac. There's nobody, there's no wires around, trees real clear. As we go a little further, he's gonna bring me a set of plans by and we'll take a look at that. I'll bring those back. But anyway, I appreciate the, citizens who are willing to volunteer and try to help us. That's all I really have, Mr.
Oh,
Mr. Vice Chair, the only thing I want to ask Darren is, and we don't have to go into a long conversation on this, is Coleman Bridge, that Coleman project. Knowing how long this project in Warm Springs has taken, we could not afford that project to go on that long. So and my concern is, GDOT sometimes don't give you as much notice. I mean, we know they're gonna do it, but my concern is when they do it in the detouring and all of that. So just as soon as you can get more information for us and so that we can get it out to the citizen, because that's gonna be, that's another big project.
That's the difference there, you're not dealing with the railroad there.
Well, that's true.
You're dealing with the railroad.
And that is a big issue. It has to do now. Initially, it was with the strength of the concrete, the time of the pour, how fast it dried, and et cetera, et cetera. Now it has to do with the strength of the girders and all these other things. So, but you're right, that's a big project.
That's a big project that will really divert a lot of traffic and stuff like that. So as soon as we can, everybody's busy and everybody's short staffed and it's just so much going on, but we don't want to be impacted so greatly that there's a lot of traffic go up and down this
I've
road.
asked them to build a detour route. And in reality, the best thing they could have done is a curve, and then it curves around, picks up the road. If they could leave that in place and come here to build a new bridge, it'd be a similar thing for everybody. Because that bridge is, every week they replace the decking in that bridge. I hit a pothole here the other day. If I hadn't had, I think about Beverly, we get a lot of pothole calls, but for tire damage. But if I hadn't been in a truck with E-rated tires, it probably would have done. It was deep. And it's every day. It's just, you see it all the time. It just falls through. I'll check with that and get you guys a time frame, and I'll encourage you to get it. But that's going to be a project that, because it's a long detour.
Well, with that being said, we're gonna jump right on over to the report from the county commissioners. Commissioner Hines, you're up.
Thank you. A lot of great things happened this past week, and then there were some things that was saddened, but I'll start off with the good news. This past Monday, I had the opportunity to go to Warm Springs to the Little White House. There was a pre-screening of a movie called The President in Our Midst, and it's about FDR. It was an absolutely beautiful documentary, and it really highlights Warm Springs in a way that they can be so proud. And Georgia, and it talks about how Georgia was such an impact in FDR running for office and how this state really supported. It's going to be aired sometime in October or September, I'm not sure, through Georgia Public Television and hopefully to PBS. But I would encourage anyone, once it's officially out, to go and see it. The young man named is DeBron Walker, who bought the Rosenthal School in Warm Springs. They captured a lot of that school in the documentary, and so he was a part of that. So once again, kudos to that project and all the work that they do at the Little White House. So it was just very impressive, and it was definitely good tourism, whatever you want to say, for Meriwether County, but it was glad to showcase Meriwether County in a very beautiful way and the impact. The second thing was I had an opportunity also to go to the Ag Innovative Center in Woodbury last Monday, where the mayor is proposing to take the old elementary school and turn it into an ag center. And it was a great turnout. Representative Drew Ferguson was there. We had several representatives from the state, Debbie Buckner, our representative David Jenkins, and we had a representative from Senator Warnock's office there. And they all showed encouragement and felt like it was a great project. It would be a big impact to this county and to the region. And so once again, I hope that the board will be a very positive role in this as well. So like I said, there's some great things going on in the county, and this is definitely a plus. The other thing I want to bring, and for those who don't know, Miss Josie Walls, Josie Spencer Robert Walls, passed away this past week. A woman with just so many accolades, 30 years in teaching, and a very strong, committed person to Meriwether County. I know for her, she ran for office as a county commissioner in 1990, and she decided to run. And her slogan was capable, caring, and committed. And she won in 1990. And after successfully defeating her opponent both on the regular ballot and in a write-off, she was elected as the county commissioner, became the first African-American woman to hold countywide election in Meriwether County. I think 2 years ago. Maybe 2 years
Just a
ago.
couple of years ago,
we
for her
gave her
birthday.
a proclamation when she turned 90.
90,
So I'm not sure she made her 92nd birthday, but if not, it would have been 92 this year.
Yeah, I think it said be 92 this year. I think
Right,
I think she
so
quite made
once
it.
again, we just want to acknowledge all what she's done in this community and her service to this community. So once again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and to all of those in that area. The last thing I want to bring up, and this is this one I tassel with everyone, but I had some constituents to bring to my attention that at our last commissioner meeting, unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay. I had an emergency and I had to leave. I was here for the workshop, but I had to leave. And someone brought to my attention that an individual came and sat in this seat, and you can see my name tag, and they took a picture of it and they posted that picture on Facebook. I'm not sure why, and that individual came and sat in this seat. I know our meetings right now are not open to the public unless you're on the agenda. There's plenty of seats. I know it's just a chair. I understand that, but I'm not sure what was the spirit and the reasoning of posting on Facebook. So it's quite disturbing to me to know that that was done. And as I stated earlier, I don't know the spirit behind that. I do know now, and we have to be realistic, that our country is going through a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of issues, a lot of racial issues. There's a lot of just issues, period. And sometimes you may not know what people's intents are, but I just want the board to know that I think it's very concerning to me, and it was greatly upsetting to me, to the board and to the vice chair, that this individual did that, came and sat, took a picture. I mean, it's one thing, you could have came and sat here, but you took the time to post it on Facebook, and my name is stating there. So I'm, like I stated earlier, I don't know what that was intended, what's the meaning behind it. I don't know what the spirit's behind it, but hopefully it's nothing. But I would say to this board that, we can't stop anybody from sitting here. I mean, there's no reason for anybody to really come sit at one of our seats, but we have plenty of seats out in the audience. So I just want to bring the board's attention that it was brought to my attention. And once again, it's very concerning and very disappointing that this happened. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm curious. I mean, that was
I was saying, I hadn't even seen it, so I didn't.
I'm sorry.
That was no one in your seat.
No, it wasn't during the meeting. I'm just saying this person,
After the meeting.
I don't know
then?
when it was done.
Oh.
All I know is an individual was sitting in this seat, because you can see my name posted on Facebook. So the picture is the person sitting there like this, and my name is shown in the post. So, I mean, if you all want to see it, I'll be glad to share it with you. But I don't know when they did it, but it was I think it was post the day of that meeting on March the 26th.
Okay.
So it could have been done at any, I don't know when it was done, but the fact that the individual felt,
He's up. I want to know.
I mean, the fact that the individual felt compelled to post it. I mean, it would have never been known, if you had sat here, but you took the time to post it. So what was your message?
Yeah.
And now after January the 6th, you don't know what people were trying to say. So anyway, and, we'll make it pass, but I just want the board to be aware of it. Thank you so much.
Moving right along, Commissioner Plant.
I was just going to remind everyone about Saturday being Keep Maryland a Beautiful Day and trash pickup, cleanup. And I know there's other things going on Saturday as well. And but anyone that can get out and volunteer would appreciate it. The other thing is meeting with the hatchery folks yesterday that they're going to try very hard this year. Save the date for June the 5th for Kids Fish for Fun, ages 12 and under. And the details will be coming out. But as I understand, there will be 2 ponds that will be available to teach children how to fish. And with the common area between the 2 ponds will be kept open for safety purposes, but we'll try to socially distance. And not sure how many fish will be allowed to be kept, but they're pretty large from my understanding. So save the date, and as the details come out, I'll be glad to share with everyone. But want to have some fun out there and get kids to fishing. So thank you very much. And that's it for me.
All right, Commissioner Hatton.
I just wanted to say something again about the cleanup day as well. It is this Saturday, and we do need to get out there and try to do what we can with that. But just for the people that are in the Manchester district, that dumpster site has been changed this year. It's always been at the mill, and it's probably been one of the biggest and hardest areas to clean up afterwards. And it's actually out in Collegiate where it's where the animal shelter used to be. So anybody that's in that area just needs to know that they will be collecting it, but it will be locked before and after, so you won't have all of that dumping after hours and stuff. So does it have the street address? Yes, Magnolia Lane, and that is down where the animal shelter used to be. So that'll just be for the folks that are in the Manchester Collegiate area. If you're looking for your dumpster site, it has been changed for this time. And that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. I've got a few items here I want to run over and cover. I guess I'm a little behind on some of the things that I just haven't said. Mr. Theron, we did meet with the recycle guys and took them down and showed them the inert landfill, and that. Did I spill the beans for you? I didn't mean to do that, but anyway.
Everybody we talk to.
Okay, but that has some promise to it.
Yeah.
Mr. Theron mentioned the bridge, and we're trying to get the DCA working with Georgia Trust on that also. There will be a bike-a-thon. The Chamber of Commerce is involved with this, May the 1st, which is also the same as the Cotton Picking Fair. They will be using the covered bridge, but they will post their own people down there to allow in and out for the people that are riders.
It's called a gravel race.
That's right.
Which
So
is
they're not
becoming
going on-
very
they're not
popular
going on the
now.
bridge.
They
will cross the bridge.
They will. Is it stable?
Yes, it is. They can cross it with bicycles. We'd have no problem with that.
Okay.
GDOT is inspecting this week, so
We'll know even more after that. That's right. Peaches and Pines is coming off again in June. I just thought I'd give you all an advance.
What is that
warning.
date in June?
I don't remember the date, Miss Beth.
Second Saturday?
I think it's
just heard
second
it.
Saturday.
I
isn't it?
think it is the second.
The 12th then, okay.
12th sounds right.
Okay.
That is probably right. That's coming off. What was I going to say? The Republican elections will be in Gay this Saturday. That will have to come off, electing officers. And I think that's about everything I had for that particular report. Well, at this time, I guess I need to hear from our county attorney. Nothing to report. And do we need an executive session?
yes, sir. We have
And it will be for,
litigation, personnel, real estate.
Litigation, personnel, and real estate.
Covered it all.
Covered it there. Covered it all. Okay. That being said, before we get started even with the public comments, let me move down and just remind you about our future meetings. April 27th, we'll have our regular meeting at 6 p.m. At this time, we're down to public comments. Any comments?
This is Charlene again.
Yes, go ahead, Charlene.
Miss Joseph did celebrate her 92nd birthday on February the 28th. Miss Joseph Wall,
February 28th.
February 28th, she did turn 92.
Oh, so she did turn
Okay,
92.
so she
Okay, I
was.
read it wrong.
And I know I've read where the cotton picking fair will be this year, but I don't thinking about it, mention it today.
That's right, May
Yes.
1st and 2nd.
May 1st and 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard something
I'm
about
thinking fair, May
June.
1st and 2nd is right.
Yes.
It will be under new management, but they are having it, yes.
Right. And believe it or not, I sat through the whole meeting this time and didn't have a lot of audio problems.
Okay.
I
I
can't
can imagine.
hardly hear today. for some
Usually
reason.
I can't hear really good when I even try, but today it was much, much better. At times I couldn't hear Buster, and I think because Mr. Gay faced you all, it's hard to hear him sometimes.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments, Ms. Charlene.
I enjoyed sharing it today.
Okay.
Now I'm leaving.
Any other comments?
This is Ashley Harmon from Meriwether County 4-H. I just wanted to let
Hello, Ashley.
that we are having our Vidalia onion sale this year. So if anyone wants to buy any, they're $10 for a 10-pound bag. Things in 4-H are quite different, but we are planning to have day camps this summer at the 4-H office. So I'll post that at a later date. But if you want to buy any Vidalia onions, you can let Miss Beverly know, and I'll get with Miss Beverly to get those orders. But they'll be here typically the second week of May.
Well, thank you for that announcement. We all like Vidalias.
Is the price the same?
Yes,
$10.
$10 for a 10-pound bag.
Thank you.
Any others?
Yes, this is Damon Rosser of the Primrose Community on Primrose Road.
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask Mr. Gay, has he had any opportunity to talk with the contractor concerning the road on Primrose Road that was repaved? And trying to see was any time frame that he was going to come back to try to finish that.
Yeah, the contractor's gonna come back out and take care of that. The problem they had last time, I think the road surface was just a little too cold to be able to adhere, but they are gonna be, they're working in the county here, finishing up some stuff, and so I would anticipate they'll be there. I'll try to find out a planned date and time, but I do know that they're coming back out to make those repairs.
Thank you, sir.
Any comments? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion? We go into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? We're in executive session, so we'll go ahead and prepare the room, and let's take about a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Executive session. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, wait, excuse me, did we go back to regular session? We did not.
Oh,
We came out of it. You need-
Okay,
All right.
let's go back into regular session. Do I hear a motion to go into regular session?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? We're back in regular session. All right, no action was taken during the executive session that needs any follow-up. Okay, and we got the future meetings again. April 27th at 6 is our next meeting. Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.